to let you know. Now them feelings start to show. And me and my niggas first come through the door. Like, watch me make them made. 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 Watch me do the shit, then bitch I do it big. 100 for the bar, I'll be finding another vote. Yes, I'm counting ends. I'm fucking up this game. I'm leaving with your bitch. Why for a wasted giving it dick while you sitting at home chilling hating on the kid? I'm feeling like it's fucked up. I sell the white and it's fucked up. I'm on the fire when I'm clutching. You need a pee and I'm fronting. Walking through the club and y'all get the hate. Band on the table, bitch gets hate. Bitch get played, no need for it. Make a whole cussing up clothes like an A1 video. I'm chilling, talking with flow in the building. Heaven be my feelings. You kush got me so high, blow it all out. Chillin' with my partner, yeah, you try to pop up. Yeah, we do it big, I'm a motherfucking rock star. Let's get it. I give a damn if you a bro. It's your own fault to let you know. Now them feelings start to show. And me and my niggas first come through the door. Like, watch me make them made. Watch me make them made. Take no peace, that's a no-no. I'm a big dog, you caught him. Your old damn homie, tell you fuck damn. When your money burning short, that's when you see the sucker strong. Niggas stole from me, that's why I'm still screaming. Shit, I'm so from the waist down. Don't fuck with me and get phone live. Real street nigga in the business suit. Never been a sucker, I left that shit to you, swerve. And all I want for Christmas is my bulletproof. Wake up every day just like a rob one. Niggas keep on hating, they gon' make me catch a fight. I ain't taking my wrist, nigga, I put 10 on your head. Hey, first thing that a nigga learn, never talk to the damn face. I give a damn if you a bro. It's your own fault to let you know. Now them feelings start to show. And me and my niggas first come through the door. Like, watch me make them made. 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 Watch me make them made.
Roger on the beat. Young.
G-Lo. I'ma keep it real from the jump. You the one I want. Baby, I just wanna fuck. Yeah, shout it what it do. I know you want it so. I'ma keep it real from the jump. You the one I want. Baby, I just wanna fuck. Yeah, shout it what it do. I know you want it so.
Every day in my mind, you want me to buy it. Switch it up, getting in the trash. You had zippers in your back, so you feel a nigga's fine. Let you ride that good on. Make it to your blind. In the blind, all in the living room. I'm back, getting wet. Rappers in the sweat. Anything you want to move, you can hit me up. And when
That's right. You on High Tide, stick with the Doc MistaTre. Of course, High Tide Tick wants to remind you not to do anything stupid when you're smoking marijuana, like get busted by your parents. You're on High Tide, stick with the Doc. And of course, we're going to go right into it, right into the news of the day, of course. And I think the biggest issue right now, probably in the news period, is the biggest thing in the news right now, I would have to say, is probably the California shooting that took place yesterday. 14 dead, 17 or 21, I'm sorry, rather. There's been an update to that, but 21 more wounded. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of them, their family and friends. Obviously, we never want to see anyone, hurt. We never want to see anybody injured, and we never want to see anybody murdered, senselessly murdered, at any time. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we've seen here yesterday in San Bernardino, California, where a shooter, a set of active shooters, a husband and wife, are the primary suspects, shot and killed 14 people at a holiday, or shot or killed 14 people at a holiday party, wounded 21 others at the same holiday party. So various ones of them are fighting for their lives in various different manners as far as the level of injuries or the level of what may have happened, and details are still coming in. It's an unfortunate issue or thing when stuff like this happens. It's sad that people think that this is the length that they need to go to prove whatever point it is you're trying to prove. I mean, do we really even know what these people are trying to prove? That's the real question. Do we even know what these people are trying to prove? I mean, what do you prove by massacring a bunch of people? I mean, what does that really prove? What point are you getting across that you can, go out and create havoc and harm against innocent people who have done nothing more than show up to a party expecting to have a good time? That's the real question. So sometimes you have to look at that and you have to ask yourselves, like, why? What is this? What is the point of this? We're going to, of course, visit this throughout the show and talk about this throughout the show. The authorities at this time are hesitant to call it terrorism. And I think that's because there's been some limited information, but some information that has unfolded that is kind of, given us the idea that this individual or this shooter may have been radicalized. And with us looking at the shooter possibly being radicalized, that changes because I kind of asked the question, probably the first question I really ask is what does it take to consider it terrorism? What does it take to call it terrorism? And I think that is a fair and honest question. And I think it's a legitimate question. Because you have to ask yourself, of course, like I said, what deems it terrorism? Sorry, dropped the phone. At what point are you calling it that? At what point are you saying that this active shooter is a terrorist? At what point are we saying that this active shooter is related to terrorism? You've incited mass panic. You killed a bunch of innocent people. I mean, this is no different than the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado Springs, where people were hesitant to call that terrorism. And I was calling that terrorism right out of the gate, because at any point in time when you go out of your way to kill a bunch of people who have done nothing to you, that's terrorism. I mean, at some point, when is it not terrorism? I mean, if you're literally going around murdering innocent people, that's you're terrorizing. You're a terrorist. You're terrorizing people. This isn't whether or not the individual's a Muslim. That's why I was not hesitant when we came live and broke the news about the shooting in Colorado Springs at the Planned Parenthood. The first thing I called it was terrorism. You don't have to be a Muslim to be a terrorist. That is a fact. That is an actual fact. So many people out there want this to be a religious-based issue. This terrorism isn't religious-based, people. That's the problem with a lot of the right-wing media, and what they try to swing to you, in a sense, is to convince you that Christians aren't terrorists, that Muslims are terrorists, and that it's a religious issue. That's not the case. And again, I would of course cite the Colorado Springs shooting at Planned Parenthood. That was an act of terrorism. It was a politically, maybe not political party, but politically driven, political issue driven, or, you know, some would call it a religious issue. I would call it more of a political issue. I think abortion is more of a political issue, but it was a political issue driven by hate and anger that was probably incited through some level of radicalization by that individual. And I'm not wrong for saying that, because that is pretty much the way it is. I mean, that's the way it looks on paper. That's the way it looks after the investigations that have been going on so far. So I'm not going to hesitate to call any act of violence against a mass amount of people without real genuine motive terrorism. You know, if a guy walks into, you know, his brother's house and shoots his brother because they got in a fight, no, that's not terrorism. That's a domestic violence event that resulted in a homicide. That's what that is. That's what it's defined as by the law. But when you walk into a building full of people who are having a holiday party and you gun down 14 of them, murder 14 of them, and then you injure 21 more and put 21 more in the hospital, at that point, that's terrorism. This isn't up for debate. It's not a debatable subject with me. I'm going to take a hardline stance on this. When you walk into a Planned Parenthood in the peaceful city of Colorado Springs, where I used to live, it's a wonderful city. It has its problems, just like any city. Don't get me wrong. It has its, you know, we've talked on air about the cartel presence there. When we lived there and when we lived here, and as far as heroin drug dealing and things like methamphetamine and stuff. And so we know that it has its town problems. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a place that you would expect an act of terrorism. You wouldn't expect to go to the doctor at Planned Parenthood and get shot. That's just not something that happens. It's not supposed to happen, but it's still an act of terrorism. And I think that, again, if we try to, I understand why the authorities, by the way, are really avoiding calling this an act of terrorism, because they don't want to jump the gun and incite a panic. And I get that. But, and to some degree, I could say that, okay, fine, that's cool, man. I get it. Like, I actually get it why you're trying not to do that. But at the same time, you know, what we'll call it, at the same damn time, at what point do we just call it what it really is? I mean, legitimately speaking, at what point do we not just call it what it is? Because that's what it is. It's an act of terrorism when you gun down massive amount of people for no reason. And thinking otherwise would just lead to the lack of intelligence by a country who still lets people tell them that in order to be a terrorist, you have to be Muslim. In order to be a terrorist, you've got to be a Muslim. And I think that at some point, the intelligent community, that's what I'm going to call us, the intelligent community has to wake up and say, hey, whoa. No. First off, to be a terrorist, all you have to do is go out with weapons and bombs and try to incite as much fear and panic as possible, with little to no motive towards the specific victims that are injured or killed during your event. That's the question that we have to ask. And in both of these cases, the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado Springs and now this San Bernardino mass shooting, there's another shooting not too long ago either. Make no mistake about this, people. These shootings actually do happen quite a bit. I think that they've gathered a bunch of attention that's probably more news coverage than it deserves by all means, but at the same time, it's gathered a lot of news attention. I mean, we can look at the shooting on campus in Oregon with that I believe disgruntled student, if I remember right. And we had primetime pot that day that the story broke, and we were supposed to be covering the story out of Oregon and them going to legal marijuana. And instead, my 2-hour broadcast with a representative from the Florida House of Representatives to discuss marijuana and its primetime approach towards getting the legalization taken care of in the state of Florida and around the country, was hijacked by a mass shooter and a mass shooter event. And I sit back and I go, see, that's exactly the problem, though, is I had a wonderful show planned for my listening audience. My show was meant to bring that listening audience information in respect to the changes that were going on around them in the marijuana industry. And there was nothing wrong with that. It was brilliant. It was a great idea. It was a good job. And it was hijacked because of an active shooter. And I sit back and I say, this is the problem, is we can't continue to give these people the power of the media, because I have no doubt in my heart and mind that that's exactly what they're seeking. They're seeking an opportunity, again, to hijack any amount of media and news and coverage that they can get. And by giving these people news and media coverage, I think that we're giving them the power back, which we can do also. We can't give them the power back. I think that that's ridiculous. We're going to break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit of pot and marijuana. I'm the Doc MistaTre. You're listening to us on K-High Radio. You're listening live with the Doc MistaTre.
I'ma spit like Crow real quick. Here I go. This nigga ain't stunt like he got it all. I just seen the lifestyle, so I thought I'd get involved. And she probably mad because I always say I'ma call back. I ain't fucking with you until you giving up all that. For real. When I step in the store, I need all that. Showing love in the club.
You're listening to the Doc MistaTre on High Tide Stick. Yeah, I'm a real doctor, like Dr. Phil's a real doctor, only bald and sexy. Yeah, bald.
Overdose, I'm in over my head. I said what I should have said. I'm living this shit we did. I'm coming, you should be scared. I'm coming in, I'm there. I'm coming, they can't compare. Where I'm going, they never there. I'm alone, all alone in the lane of my own. I'm alone, all alone in the lane of my own. I'm alone, all alone. I'm coming in, I'm there. I'm coming, they can't compare. Where I'm going, they never there. I'm alone. Overdose, and I'm in over my head. Take you blunts to the head. Coming, you should be scared. Me against the world, of Tupac and with a block. Cause I don't wanna go before my time up on the clock. They say when you on the screen, everybody wanna watch. They say boy, you at the bottom, you'll never reach the top. Heavy hearted, my emotions got dropped. Maneuver with the movement, man, my motion won't stop. Cause it's money over everything. Maybe even you got a distance on the side, man. Maybe you too. They all say they love him, but you know how bitches do. Niggas are falsified, and I just remain true. I said, damn. Scheme while getting scammed. I swear she was getting grammed. I hate thinking about that bullshit. And the stress, working real hard without resting. OT till I OD. That's right. Overdose, I'm in over my head. I said it what I should have said. I'm living this shit we did. I'm coming, you should be scared. I'm coming in, I was there. I'm coming, they can't compare. Where I'm going, they never there. I'm alone. All alone in the lane of my own. I'm alone. I'm coming in, I'm with you. I'm coming, they can't prepare where I'm going. They never there. I'm alone.
And I ain't talking in the victim sense, talking I'm on a whole other level. This shit in my sense, got my paper in my sense. I want it all, nothing less. You smell success, that's in my step. You fuck me one time, forget no shit. Falling tears on the fears, you telling stories. Disappear, went down and out, but now found when half the glory category. Bitch made that you know who's and what's about it. And please don't ever doubt it. Fuck your help, I'm here without it. For real, cause I done made it on my lonesome. With chip on shoulder, chips of soda, feeling like you wrote some. Can't expect your intellect to see the rule of no none. But how the hell you bite that hand that feeds you when there's no one? They gon' come and go, and I know that shit true. Take that picture of Van Gogh so you clearly see who the fuck I am. A giant from my point of view. From skyscraper view, what I do see this view. So
Overdosing, I'm in over my head. I said what I should have said. I'm living this shit we did. I'm coming, you should be scared. I'm coming in, I was there. I'm coming, they can't compare. Where I'm going, they never there. I'm alone. All alone, in the lane of my own. I'm alone. All alone, in the lane of my own. I'm alone. All alone. I'm coming in, I was there. I'm coming, they can't compare. Where I'm going, they never there. I'm alone.
High Tide Stick wants to remind you to drive safe when consuming cannabis, or at least do the speed limit. Jesus, 30 and a 60? I mean, who does that? When I wanted to start tattooing my sleeve, I shopped around. I had already experienced a bad tattoo and feared another artist claiming to be good would do the same. When I walked into Living Art Tattoo, that's not what happened. The customer-friendly staff at Living Art Tattoo from step one let me choose my artist, my day, my time, and most importantly, my, of course, artwork. The artist sat down with me and listened to my needs, and then we came up with a tattoo. I wouldn't go anywhere else unless I moved away. Just kidding. Living Art Tattoo in Colorado Springs. Set an appointment today at 719-578-9688. Tell them the doc sent you. Trezona LLC and Trezona Graphic Design, leading Colorado Springs and Tampa in graphics for events, concerts, weddings, and more. Visit us on Facebook at Trezona or email us at trezonallc@gmail.com. That's TREZONA.
Cause fire through your mind. I just fire through it. I'm busy and never matters. I'm in line with my dreams. I ain't been in my pockets. I'm consistent. Running back if you ever miss it. Keep it clean, but so hard that it feels explicit. Listen, stay shining. My light forever beams bright.
Yeah.
That's right. What was that? Up on the scene, and I do all of that in the book that I see. Can be anything that I'm not. I came to leave a mark,
And of course, talking about this issue with this active shooter right now, of course, another active shooter event in California. Again, the authorities being hesitant to call this a terrorist incident or terrorist event. I'm kind of I'm a little more opposite of that. I'm like, I think that we should be hesitant to not call this a terrorist event, and I think that mostly my opinion of that stems from really stems from the fact that the shooter and his wife went out and attempted to create fear and panic through mass murder or a mass shooting event, and in that in itself, to me, would insinuate that it is terrorism. Well, Planned Parenthood in Colorado Springs, same thing. We would insinuate that the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado Springs would be terrorism for that reason. Why? Gee, let me guess. A man walked into a building with the intent to create fear, create panic, create harm, and as much as possible, That would be a terrorizing event. Again, you can't continue to let right-wing media spin this to you, America. You can't be stupid, America, and let somebody tell you that you have to be a Muslim to be a terrorist. Because first off, that's a fallacy. It is a lie. It is not true. It's not correct. It's hogwash, as they say. Bottom line is that if you go out and, again, you try to create fear, you try to create panic, you try to insinuate or incite as much damage as possible and as much death as possible, that is an act of terrorism, in my book at least. I mean, again, I'm just a simple guy with a radio show. What do I know? So we're going to move on from that story now. We're going to get into the next bit of fun stuff that we have planned for today. So for those of you that love weed news, here's some news for you coming out of Massachusetts, of course. And this is, of course, from High Times Magazine. Massachusetts likely to vote on legal weed in 2016. It is almost inevitable that Massachusetts will be forced to answer the issue of marijuana legalization within the next year. And that's the headline that's coming to us from High Times out of Massachusetts. Again, Massachusetts already has medical marijuana. They have a medical marijuana program already in place. The extent of that is another issue, if you want to say it that way, I would say. But anyway, earlier this week, the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol, good luck with that, by the way. Colorado tried that and ended up being regulated like medicine, even though it's recreational and you can buy it over the counter. It's regulated as severe as an opiate would be. But anyway, another pet peeve of mine that we won't get into now because I feel like Colorado and the voters got burned on that. But anyway, earlier this week, the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol, a group working to establish a statewide cannabis industry similar to what is currently underway out west, submitted well over 100,000 signatures to the Secretary of the Commonwealth in hopes of qualifying the necessary 65,000 to get their initiative in front of the legislative brass. If all goes according to plan, organizers could receive approval from the state later this month. So they're saying that, quote, this is a direct democracy in action, close quote. That was the campaign manager, Will Loser, and he said that in a statement earlier this week. He went on to say that the people that can see that our current prohibition policy isn't working and that they're taking action to replace it with a more sensible system based on the levels of support and the enthusiasm we saw during the petition drive, voters are ready to end prohibition and start treating marijuana more like how our state treats alcohol. And that's a close quote. So the proposal under consideration would allow residents at least 21 years of age to purchase marijuana from retail shops in the same way they do beer. Not unlike the drink, legal pot would be slapped with a special tax of 3.75% in addition to the state's 6.25% sales tax. Dab OG Incognito Headley Trooper was created due to determined to look at the initiative. I'm not sure why he would say that, but anyway, once the initiative goes into play, the bottom line is that it will go before the state of Massachusetts legislation group, and they'll look at it to see if local lawmakers are interested in picking up the issue during the next session. If they reject it, which is expected, supporters for the campaign will need to collect an additional 11,000 signatures to get the question in front of voters in November. So they can go around the politicians, that's the beauty of a real democracy when it's actually done right. And I think that's the key operative there. When a democracy is done right, it's actually beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to see that in action when, again, it's working right. But then the one that I would cite behind that is that what about when democracy doesn't work? When democracy fails us because of let's be real. What about when democracy fails us because of something like the incident that took place in Colorado Springs? That's a great example of that, actually, where democracy failed. The people voted by a margin of more than 10% to legalize marijuana, and then the state turned around and, I should say the city council rather, turned around and voted to not allow Colorado voters to have, or Colorado Springs people to have, a recreational pot shops. And that's why people have to go over to Manitou Springs, to Maggie Farms, and go to the pot shop there. So when I think of that, I think, okay, so didn't Colorado Springs City Council violate the people's vote? The people voted we want recreational marijuana, and then you turned around and voted to remove the recreational marijuana. And so you have to ask yourselves at that point, did the city of Colorado Springs violate your vote? Well, I don't want to see that happen in Massachusetts either. I mean, in Massachusetts, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pass it like alcohol. And again, I would hate to see the vote in Massachusetts be hijacked to the degree of the politicians turn around and like do something stupid again, like leave it up to the state. Because I think that's the thing that I believe is driving me more bonkers than probably anything else in the world, is that you are, for a lack of better words, is the way I'm going to word this. But for lack of better words, you're allowing the city to rebuke the vote of the people, and that's where I genuinely do have a problem. I mean, that's where I sit back and I go, whoa, 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 whoa. How is democracy working for me at this point? How is the political world on my side? How is this, how is this benefiting or helping me and my agenda if you block what we voted for? We spent countless hours and time and money campaigning to get this right, and then we get it right and the people back us with their vote, and then you rebuke that by not allowing recreational pot dispensaries within the city limits of Colorado Springs, right? Well, is this going to happen in Massachusetts, where when prohibition first came around? See, do your homework, people. This is Daddy Trey talking to you right now. What up, by the way? Shout out to my viewers on Periscope. Love you guys, as always. You can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also subscribe and watch live on YouTube. You don't get behind the scenes, though. Periscope, you guys are, of course, blessed to get behind the scenes. Shout out to all you guys out there listening and watching on Periscope. Love you. But anyway, back to this thing in Colorado Springs with the rebuking. You are rebuking people. You're rebuking people's votes, and I don't want to see that happen in Massachusetts. I want to see what happened in prohibition, when the prohibition of alcohol ended, and a lot of states, like, and here's a great example: Texas, in the Dallas metro area, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. There are dry counties. There are places that you can only buy liquor in a bar. You can't go to a liquor store because they don't exist. They're not there. They're not allowed to sell liquor. It's a dry, but the word that the people use is it's a dry county. It's a dry county. Well, I can promise you that no matter how dry you made your county because you wouldn't let anybody have any weed, I can promise you that the people in your county are not happy that their county, that they have to drive. Because, and that's just it, is you're preventing your county from engaging in surplus of income when you do these things against anything: liquor, weed, alcohol, any of it. The minute that you revoke something like that, the minute that you take that away from the people, they're just going to go somewhere else to get it. Alcohol is a drug, by the way. For those of you that forgot that because you didn't go to DARE or anything, I just want to remind you that alcohol is absolutely a drug, and absolutely alcohol is one of the most addictive drugs on the planet. It's almost nearly as bad as heroin. People have died from seizures and aneurysms while trying to kick the habit of alcoholism. Excuse me. So when I think of that, I go, let's not do the Dallas, like what happened in Dallas, like I said, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at the end of alcohol prohibition. Let's not, you can't allow dry counties. You can't sit there and say, you can do this, but it's up to the county how much you can do this. Now, I can promise you that the dry counties in Texas are a Bible Belt thing. The Bible thumpers that took over the White House and Congress and the Senate back during that time were able to prohibit alcohol. And of course, that lasted from, I think, 1920 until 1933. It's about 13 years of prohibition, something like that. It was quite some time either way. Weed prohibition, on the other hand, has lasted, I don't know, somewhere in the ballpark of like 80 some odd years. The first, it was prohibited sometime after World War II. No, it was in the 1930s, it was in the 1930s, like 1936, I believe. So it's been quite some time that marijuana has been prohibited in this country, and yet it's a ridiculously, and we're going to say it like that, ridiculously large amount of less harmful to you than anything else that you could be doing, like again like alcohol or things like alcohol. So you have to look at those things, and you have to realize sometimes that you can walk into a store and you can buy something that has no medical value, has been deemed unsafe, it kills your liver, and so much more. And so when I sit back and I think of that, or I think about that, I go, okay, so I have to die, and I can go and buy these alcohols or these poisons, and I can consume them because big liquor back in the day was able to get prohibition lifted. And let's just say that hands down, the violence attributed to liquor during the 1920s and 30s, far worse than any violence attributed to marijuana in the entire reign of prohibition. Think about that, getting killed over a beer, getting shamelessly gunned down or murdered over a bottle of booze. Imagine that. How would that make you feel? How would that make you feel if you were just shamelessly gunned down while consuming alcohol or even marijuana, you know? Of course, we're getting ready to go to break here in a minute. When we come back from break, we are going to go ahead and dive into the active shooter event that happened in San Bernardino, California. Um, Again, active terrorism or not? You tell me. I want to know what you think. I want your opinion. I want to know, do you feel like this active shooter stuff has to be widely considered a widely considered an act of terrorism, or are we gonna push that back or push that aside and say no, that's not an act of terrorism? That's where you have to tell us. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk about today. What does the doc feel is, of course, what are we going to tell the F off today? Last F off Friday, before the break, before the Thanksgiving break, we were telling cancer to F off. What are we telling the F off today? It's F off Friday on High Tide Stick. You're with the doc, of course, the Doc MistaTre. And of course, this is High Tide Stick. We'll be back after the break.
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
What it do, fatty? Two behind. Do it big. Yeah, gang. Yeah.
Hey, once I started, stayed on my grind. Yeah. Nigga Grit told me don't waste no time. Nah. Smoking big dope, shit smell like crime. I drive a foreign and the wheels look fine. Nigga boring, his flow is not like mine. Couple hundred just to watch my time. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. A couple hundred just to watch my time. Since I was young, I was doing nickels and dollars and niggas. Ever since they robbed me, trust them, I leave over places, smoking like a zombie. Still game my nothing, thanks to my G got me. Oh my God, bustin' Once I started, stayed on my grind. Liquid grit told me don't waste no time. Smoking big dope, shit smell like pine. I drive a foreign and the wheels look fine. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. Couple hundred just to watch my time. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. A couple hundred just to watch my time.
Hey, my hood said get you, so fuck you. You, your dead homies, and your pistols. I'm from Gameville. We don't talk to get you. The bullets out this bitch sounding like a Russian missile. I've been a real nigga, I just dabble like that. And I be on in Houston, Texas, like I'm rapping like. Use a cartoon character, Facebook dog, me the Grammy, you an actor. Push your ball, me with no ammo in the gun. I got a top on the way and 100 round drum. The difference between me and you haters is I'm winning. The label left a nigga, I bounce back in the pit.
Once I started, stayed on my grind. Nigga grit told me don't waste no time. Smoking big dope, shit smell like pine. I drive a foreign and the wheels look fine. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. Couple hundred just to watch my time. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. A couple hundred just to watch my time.
Hey, I'm in the studio, grinding with no pen or pad. Now they gave a white nigga money, now you at us mad. Shit, my belly was on E, I can feel the hunger. Ever go broke, I turn your block into a fucking song. I left the West Coast to bring back my street cred. I don't know why niggas eating when the streets dead. I know it these live when they think I don't. And now I leave a nigga stinking, you think I won't. Expose me to the world, make 2 P's famous. But you gon' rubbing my money, I'ma sell them payments. I don't owe nobody nothing that ain't on me. You want a feature, we charging a fuck nigga fee.
Once I started, stayed on my grind. Nigga grit told me don't waste no time. Smoking big dope, shit smell like pine. I drive a foreign and the wheels look fine. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. Couple hundred just to watch my time. Niggas boring, his flow is not like mine. A couple hundred just to watch my time.
You're listening to me, the Doc MistaTre, live on YouTube. Yeah, I'm a real doctor, like Dr. Phil's a real doctor, only sexier, bald, and sexy. Yeah. High Tide Stick. Trezona LLC and Living Art Tattoo are proud to present the latest mix album by MistaTre, available now on ReverbNation.com/MistaTre. That's MistaTre. Download the entire album today free on ReverbNation.com. Need ink? Tired of the old shafty work that you're used to getting? Then stop by and see the folks over at Living Art Tattoo, located on Airport and Academy in Colorado Springs. They do all the doc's work, so tell them Mr. Trey sent you. Or call today and set an appointment at 719-578-9688. High Tide Stick wants to remind you not to do anything stupid on marijuana. You know, like get busted by your parents. You're on High Tide Stick live with the Doc, Mr. Trey.
So she know how she feels so real. No Jamaican, we done one Puerto Rican, #1 son. Spread joy for the world, all for one man. Yeah, man, we smoke all day, so go guys, man.
Welcome back to our High Tide Stick Radio with the Doc MistaTre. We are back from break and we're in the last segment here of the show. And so we're getting down here to the end of the show, man. And of course, it's Friday. It's F-Off Friday here on the show. So, those of you on Periscope listening right now, and all you folks listening on YouTube, message me right now and tell me what you want to F off today. Who do you want to tell to F off? What do you want to tell to F off? What is that one thing that just this whole week you just be like, you know what? Blank can fuck off. Give me your F offs. We'll sound off towards the end of the show here in a few minutes. Other than that, I have my F off, by the way. And I'm ready for my F off. But we're going to talk about a couple of things real quick before I give you my F off. Because I think my F off is warranted. I think it's epic. And I think it's perfect for what's been going on these days. Let's just say it that way. So in New Hampshire, by the way, health officials have approved a lung cancer patient's application for an identification card that would allow that woman to buy medical marijuana in the state of Maine. A spokesman for the Department of Health and Human Services said Linda Horn would be issued a card Wednesday, a day after a court granted her emergency request to order the state to review her application. The state had argued that issuing the 64-year-old Alstead woman a card before dispensaries open next year would undermine its needs to control marijuana distribution. But Horn, who was diagnosed with late-stage cancer in July, argued that she might be dead by then. That's a damn good argument, by the way. I just want to point that out. Like, that is a damn good argument. You want me to wait a year when I have what's called, I believe it's called stage 3 cancer, which is the final stage. It's usually the most deadly. Most people don't live through stage 3 cancer. And so she said, hey, I'm not going to be here by the time you morons get your heads out of your ass and approve this deal. So New Hampshire lawmakers approved the use of marijuana by the people suffering from a limited number of diseases and medical conditions more than 2 years ago, but the first 4 dispensaries won't open until early 2016. Maine law allows for people visiting the state for an extended period of time to obtain medical marijuana if they meet certain requirements, including having a qualified medical condition. The program manager for the Maine medical marijuana program told the New Hampshire courts, that the New Hampshire court officials that the provision was intended to serve patients in Maine for a vacation or a school term, not those looking to buy marijuana and drive home immediately. Horn said that she plans to visit friends in South Maine and stay with them for an extended period. Loophole, love it. It is unclear whether others in Horn's situation will have the same opportunity. Jake Leon, a spokesman for the Department of Health and Human Services, said the agency is still reviewing the ruling with its lawmakers and the Attorney General's office to determine how it will handle pending and future applications. So I think it's brilliant workaround, brilliant loophole. I don't know if her doctors, her lawyers, or she found it herself, but whoever figured out that loophole for her, brilliant. Salute to you. Because the bottom line is that we can't continue to prevent people from getting their medication. Like most medications, it takes a couple of days. But if I run out of marijuana for just a couple days, just a pinch of a couple of days, I can promise you that if I run out of marijuana, it's I feel off, I feel loopy, I feel a little weird or a little odd. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm in my own skin, and that's not cool. Like, that's not okay, and I shouldn't have to feel that way. But I also shouldn't have to take Prozac and what's the other one they try to give me? Well, they didn't try to give it to me. I actually took it for a little while, and I didn't like it. It made me feel like weird. But what's the name of that drug? Zoloft. It made me feel freaking weird, man. Like, I didn't feel like myself, and that unfortunately bothered me. I mean, that really drove me crazy, and that really made me upset. So it becomes one of those things where you have to stop and sit back and go, okay, listen. Whoa, bro. It's not okay. By the way, sorry to all my people listening on Periscope. I should probably make a better effort to I should probably put forth a better effort to make sure that devices are charged so that they don't actually hang up on, or in the broadcast on that avenue. But at least we still have YouTube, and this is why I tell you guys, follow on YouTube. That's the real broadcast. Periscope, behind the scenes privilege, of course. Still follow us on YouTube, subscribe, stick with us, of course. We're having some fun here at High Tide Stick. This is our 40th episode, guys, as we closely approach the half-century mark, which we'll hit that here in December. That's only 10 more shows. That's 2 more weeks. And that'll be right before we go on our month-long hiatus, is right after we hit that 50-show marker range. What you got to think, that's all of next week and all of the following week, and then we go on vacation. And after we celebrate our 50th episode. So thank you guys. Just real quick, I want to genuinely thank all of our viewers, listeners, fans, followers. There's over 12,000 of you now. I want to thank all of you just for being part of what we do, and just continue to share the stories and spread the word, and more importantly, share the episodes, and subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe, and get with us on YouTube as we continue to take this adventure called my weird view of the world here on High Tide Stick and marijuana legalization. They left no manifesto. This is coming to you by CNN, by the way, CNN.com. They left no manifesto. The hard drive was gone from their computer, and their new cell phones were apparently smashed. Saeed Rizwan Farouk and his wife, Tashfin Maki, did their best to fly under the radar. Neither got into trouble with the law, and neither one was on any list of potentially radicalized people. So 2 days after one of the most deadliest mass shootings in the United States, authorities are still left wondering what motivated the couple to mow down dozens of people at a holiday luncheon in San Bernardino, California. 14 officials say part of the reason may have been Farouk's apparent radicalization. Part of it may have stemmed from a workplace tension, but nothing concrete has surfaced at this time. It would be irresponsible and premature for me to call this terrorism. That is what FBI official David Broadwich said Thursday. The FBI defines terrorism very specifically, and that it's a big question for us. What is the motive for this? Was he radicalized? Investigators are exploring Farouk's communications with at least one person who was being investigated for possible terror connections somewhere by phone, some on social media. These appear to be soft communications, an official said, meaning they were not frequent contacts. Farouk's last communication with the contact was months ago. The FBI wants to interview some of them and learn more about their conversations with Farouk. A federal official said Farouk has overseas communications and associations, but it's not yet clear how relevant they are to the shootings. So again, the FBI stays away from calling this a terrorist attack. I, on the other hand, don't. I won't stay away from calling it a terrorist attack, because I'm more hell bent on calling it what it is, and that's your goal was to create as much panic and as much fear as possible, and you have succeeded at said goal. In my book, you're a terrorist. It's been my pleasure. By the way, my F off today is F off to terrorism. Fuck off, terrorism. Fuck off, mass shootings. Fuck off Friday. Peace out. I'm the Doc MistaTre. You've been on High Tide Stick with the Doc.
money from the imagination. I'm like Bobby Rolling Face. I'm really gonna know to be a chosen next night.
High Tide Stick is a Trezona LLC production. Please enjoy the post music.
Straight to the zone. DG for life.
Look at my ride, that motherfucker walking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's watching. Look at my ride, that motherfucker walking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's watching.
When I wake up down, my whip look tight and shiny like the glitter. And I Instagram that pic, and I post it up on Twitter. You can see my rims, they shining. 24 inches, they spinning. You can tell by my pockets blowing up like the lotto, so I'm winning. I'll tell you right now, baby, I'll live my life like shady. 6 baby mamas in a pair of twins and $1 million baby. 10 screens where they falling. My old mama for ballin'. My baby mama, she blow my line. Man, she gon' stop calling. My backseat be so large. Black tin, no credit cards. We in the back, I beat it down. And pray I do a free charge. Can't be hating that ghost pattern. All these chicks go straight bananas. My rear view be thumping hard. Hanging on to that red bandana.
Look at my ride, that motherfucker walking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's rocking. Look at my ride, that motherfucker walking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's rocking. Look who they watching, look who they watching. Drop the screens and turn the beat up, ain't gon' watch them jock, man. I'm gripping wood wheels and blowing out some broccoli. Behind the limo, chick windows rolled up so they can't stop me. That 24 is clean, I think I need to join the car show. Gotta match the whip, so my whole fucking grill chrome. And my girl gone, but she bad as fuck. On the leather in the backseat, fucking with her feet up. Man, that whip too flossy, two-tone candy paint is glossing. Working long nights in the Navy, so I call that bitch my office. Put the camera in the dash so I can play it back and watch it. Fuck it, let's make a movie, put it on the disc and profit. Look at my ride, that motherfucker honking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's rocking. Look at my ride, that motherfucker walking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's rocking.
Voice activation, make it start. Push a button, make it rock. Let me tell you ain't got the tradition. We can chop before after dark. Why chill in my backseat? You with the biz, we not deep. All roof, baby, no sheep. It's dirty games, means no sleep. Patron on tap, keep it drunk. Rock in the crowd, keep it crunk. I'm Trojan man, you the MJ, and yo, hella kid, yo, space and dump. Looney Tunes is my rims. 36 and they big. All my choppers hella long, they crawl down, won't fit. It's 20K in their pockets. Cali Kush is super bomb in Colorado, no diet. My whip looking on fire. My bitch is running for higher. My chalk ain't Hiroshima, kryptonite, Shelly and quiet. DJ on no blast beats. Water world in my backseat. Airbags popping off, automatic discs yelling, help me. My whip amazing and fabulous. I'm a superstar, chip scandalous. My supercar rims got TVs. Dirty games don't rattle us.
Look at my ride, that motherfucker honking. The streets is watching, I know they watching. She said she wanna fuck me in the backseat of my office. The water's pounding, the camera's rocking. Look at my ride, that